To the future of the Liverpool defender Ibrahima Konate, who's told the French media that he wants a decision on his future sorted very soon. He's out of contract in the summer and can sign a pre-contract with clubs in Europe as soon as the 1st of January. So should Liverpool break the bank to keep him? Well, speaking on Premier League Extra Time after their defeat to Manchester City last weekend, Jamie Carragher has not been convinced this season.
He's not even off the ground and he's trying to flick it on. Go and get up as high as you can. Look at Haaland and head that ball away. I don't understand at all what Konate is trying to do. There's been no real impact from Haaland and he's trying to flick it on. Haaland gets a little bit of luck. Maybe he deserves that luck the season he's had. He's been absolutely fantastic. But Konate again, when Liverpool concede a goal or a problem, is at the heart of it, and he's got a big problem away from home. A lot of his big performances this season, Manchester United, he played well. Real Madrid in midweek, he played really well. Arsenal in the season, he played really well. But away from home, which is when you need your centre-backs. Your centre-backs need to play well away from home if you're going to get results. And too often this season, he's gone missing away from home.
Every time they concede a goal or have a problem, he's at the heart of it, Tim. Would you agree?
Well, this season, yeah. But I think if you asked him, Jamie, that question, do you need to break the bank to keep him at the end of last season when they was lifting that trophy, I think he would have said yes. It's easy to react on a few games when he's had a poor, yes, he's been poor, of course he has, but so has Virgil van Dijk. You wouldn't want to get rid of him, would you? You know, because you remember how good they can be as a partnership. I think the two of them have not been fantastic, but I think that's been affected by the fullbacks. They've changed. Would break the bank? I'm not sure. You always get emotional because, you know, your recent memory, and the recent memory is that he has been poor, so he's not picked the right time to be poor. Because when the money men are up there and they're thinking about what sort of numbers they'll be giving him on a new contract, their thinking can get warped, you know, towards recent memory, and recent memory is not very good for him.
One of the points that Jamie made there is that particularly away from home, he struggled a little bit. You wonder whether that...
But so had Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. You know, Liverpool struggled away from home. I think, yes, he has made mistakes. But we can pick holes in any performance when we're actually analysing one player. And he hasn't looked himself. Now, is it because of the speculation around his future? Possibly. Perhaps he wants it all sorted out.
How much does that affect you as a player?
It can do. It can do. It depends what sort of individual you are. I think he needs to get it sorted out one way or another. I don't believe that it should make a difference to a player. I think he's contracted to the team and he should give his all when he goes on the pitch. When you go on the pitch, you're not thinking about your contract. Not at all. You know, you might do during the week, but when you actually step over that line, you're thinking about winning that game and defending well with your partner next to you, Virgil van Dijk. So I think it's an excuse to say that he needs to get that contract sorted out. Of course we need it sorted out, but why have they left it this long? They obviously have not offered him what he wanted in the past, and in the past we've seen the best of him. So if they weren't prepared to give him the money when he was at his best, they certainly won't be prepared to give him the money what he thinks he's worth now, unless he takes a drop because he looks at his recent performances and says, you know what, perhaps I'm not worth X amount now, I might have to take a cut.
One of the questions which I always think is really significant with Liverpool centre-backs is how he would do without Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
And if you gave him 10 games and you had Joe Gomez alongside him. Would you? You could
play with Virgil van Dijk. When Virgil,
well, I mean that is very generous.
When Virgil's at his best, you'd look good for 5-10.
For 5 minutes, possibly.
I'm being unkind and I'm just a joke, but it's a little bit. Listen, Virgil makes anyway. It's all about the partnership, about the chemistry between the two, and you have to say they got it spot on last year, didn't they? I mean, they clearly won the title with weeks and weeks to spare. So. We're only talking about him because he's having a poor time at the moment. He hasn't signed his contract, but it's a talking point. Hopefully, he can sign his contract, you know, concentrate on the football, which I believe he's doing now, but he's just having a bad period, but so are a lot of Liverpool players, and then he can move forward. It's not as if they've got a lot of options. You know, you talk about Joe Gomez, that's about it. Kwanzaa's already left the building.
Leone's injured.
Yeah, Mark Gay might come in, and if Kwanzaa might think, well, is Gay, that would be the question I'll be asking, is Mark Gay coming in? Virgil's going to stay at the club. Am I going to play? Am I going to be playing enough? So there's a lot of questions to be asked in-house, certainly from the player, and they will be asked in him as well. But I think it's obviously a money issue at the moment why he's not signed.
Let's ask some of those questions to Liverpool fan Peter Bolster. Peter, good morning. How much significance and emphasis would you be putting on getting a new contract sorted for Konate?
Not as much as Tim would think so, to be honest with you, and not just because of recent form. Throughout his whole Liverpool career, he's showed world-class moments. There's no doubt about that. He's got the absolute most brilliant quality at various points, but there's loads of moments where you're left scratching your head thinking, I'm not really sure what's going on here. I always think a world-class player is someone who puts in 10-12 games in a row at a sustained level. He doesn't do that. He'll play well for 4 or 5 games and then he'll have big dips, or he has injuries. That's another factor when it comes into paying up the money, is the fact that he is quite injury prone. He picks up muscle injuries. The only other thing I'd say there as well is that Liverpool may have they may have put the money up. He might not be signing the contract. He might be running his contract down. There's been a rumour in our area that this has been the case for the last 12 months, so it seems to be no surprise that it's showing real parallels with what's happened to Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Pete, if that's the case, then he's gone.
I think it is, Tim. I think he's already gone. I think his head's gone, and I think what he's come out recently this weekend, and he's saying there's things that I want to say but I can't say and all that. Well, I think we're all grown-ups, aren't we? Come on, we can read between the lines. If you've got something to say, just say it. And I think that's what Liverpool fans were a little bit upset about Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you're going to leave. You've been a great servant. Yeah. You really have. He's been fantastic. Sound. Move on, and we all shake our hands and we get on with it. But it's the fact that you're coming out with these statements and I don't know, smoke and mirrors type of thing, trying to pass the buck on, and then we're raising the question: are Liverpool paying the money?
When you say there, Peter, about knowing the scenario, and you say we're all adults, we all sort of get the vibe of what's going on. You would suspect that the club would know that better than anyone. That in the summer they might have known where this was heading. Therefore, to you, was there a slight frustration that you didn't go for Gehi and get it done earlier and not leave it to deadline day, and you've ended up with 2 top-class strikers that some would argue you do need both, some would argue you don't, but the bigger priority, particularly if you were worried that Konate wasn't going to stay, was getting a top-quality centre-half through the door pretty early on in the window?
Yeah, Liverpool get a lot of credit for the transfer business they do, but there's some real argument that they don't do enough in certain areas, and they've left us short, and we can't get away from that fact. They did go after Gehi at the beginning of the transfer window, to be fair to them, but when it comes to that last few days, they could have just paid the extra 10 million. That extra 10 million could have us now in a title race, and right now we're all left thinking...
Are you not in the title race then?
No, we're not in the title race right now. There's no way. There's no doubt about it. I think that the defeat against Manchester City, it just leaves you too much to do.
So if you're not in the title race, you don't get Guy in January. You take him in the summer when Konate leaves.
No, I bring him in now because I think stylistically we've got a real problem of how we play football, and I think people are saying, well, Konate is the same player as he was last season. Yeah, that he is. That's the problem, because he hasn't got his mate Trent Alexander-Arnold at the right of him now to get him out of jail. Yeah. So there's no one distributing that ball out of the defence. So the opposition, week in, week out, are allowing Konate to get the ball, and he struggles with it, and it's so evident, and everyone knows what's going to happen each week, and it's just getting worse and worse.
Just on we touched on the signings that you did make in the summer. Alexander Isak has been away and played a little bit for Sweden. He's been talking about the season so far, said it's not been optimal. When I'm on the field, I don't give myself any excuses. I always want to play my game and perform, but it's been hard to be away and not been able to help and contribute. What do you think Arne Slot should do? There is a run of fixtures coming up which you would say look winnable for Liverpool. How would you like to see the front of the pitch look in the coming months, bearing in mind that it's not too far before Mo Salah leaves you for a while for AFCON?
Yeah, I think the excuse book needs to go out the window now. So we've had our hard lines, and there's no doubt about it. Some opposition fans can say, oh, you spent all this money and this, that and the other. But Isak has been injured. We've had teething problems with players coming in. But I think the buck stops now at the players coming in and also at the manager. I think he's got to find a way to get that front three firing. Mohamed Salah is still a fantastic player, but they're not getting the best out of him. It's as simple as that. For me personally, Isak starts up front and you shift Ekitike on the left, which gives you an outlet ball, give you a bit of pace, someone who can run in behind, because your two wingers at the moment cut inside. They don't run beyond the last man, and it's so easy to play against us. That means the opposition are taking 5-10 yards further up the field. It's nullifying our whole attack. If you think about players like Florian Wirtz and Mohamed Salah, to be fair, who are playing those balls, who are they playing the balls to? There's no runners. We're missing Luis Diaz, who runs. Obviously, we're missing Diogo Jota from last season, who makes those runs. There's no one making those penetrating runs. So obviously we need someone like Isak in, but we also need to keep Ekitike on the pitch.
OK, Peter, we will leave it there because time is against us, but thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. There we go. We have got one part to go, and as ever, that means